Okay, I'll go ahead and admit it. I expected much more from the battle between Liko, Roy, Dot, and the heroes. I went into the episode looking forward to an epic battle. After all, if you look back at previous series, battles against the legendary, mythical, giant, etc. Pokémon were almost always a spectacle. Grand battles against colossal and powerful, bigger-than-life Pokémon that demanded a lot from the trainers facing them. They felt like boss battles that did justice to the magnificent Pokémon in question, who got to show off the immense power that makes it worthy of its glorious title and status, thrilling us and leaving a lasting impact in the process. Liko and friends versus the heroes, however, felt for the most part like battling big target dummies that would occasionally fight back, robbing these battles of much intensity and excitement. They did have a few good moments, mind you, but not nearly enough to save them from being just alright, decent at best. Now I get that this is the point. Unlike similar battles in previous series, this wasn't a serious battle with high stakes. The heroes simply wanted to test Liko and friends. There was nothing on the line and thus no reason for either side to go for broke. Therefore, I only have myself to blame for feeling disappointed. As usual, I just expected a bit too much. If you take these battles as what they are, just practice, then they do look a little better. Especially because, again, they did have some good moments that made them still fun to watch. So yeah, I cannot really fault the episode for not living up to my unrealistic expectations. Beyond the battles, several cute and funny moments, getting to see all the members of the Rising Bolt Tacklers, both human and Pokémon, reuniting, having the upcoming adventure be set up in a fitting way, and seeing all the improvements made to the Brave Olivine all elevated the episode further, allowing it to end up as a pretty enjoyable episode overall. So let's break the episode down. I will tell you exactly what happened, my thoughts and opinions on it, and why it might be disappointing but is still good nonetheless. In this episode, as Liko and friends get ready to depart from Naranja Academy, Ryford tells them to head to Kitakami to look for Briar, who is currently researching Terapagos, so they might learn more about it from her. I especially love that she gets a cute little moment with Terapagos where she expresses that she too wants to learn more about it. I also love that her Sorrow arc is still up to its usual and hilarious antics. The Brave Olivine, repaired and improved, soon arrives to pick up Liko and friends, who happily reunite with the rest of the Rising Bolt Tacklers. The Pokémon also get to have joyful reunions. Liko and friends are congratulated for passing the Terrasto course. Now that the team is back together again, they can finally continue their adventure. The next day, Liko and friends marvel at how wonderful it is to once again soar through the skies. As they do this, they spot a Dragonite, which is likely a reference to the games where you see a Dragonite in the transition you get when traveling from Paldea to Kitakami or Blueberry Academy, which is of course what Liko and company are doing right now. They also notice just how much the Brave Olivine was upgraded, which makes them want to take a tour around it to check out just how different it is. They visit the boiler room where Orla shows them how she made several modifications that provide more firepower to the airship. They stop by the control room where Fried reveals that they now have the classic big red button behind glass that can only be pushed during an emergency. Something Roy has trouble adhering to. Something you can't really blame him for. I'm also quite curious as to what this button does. Maybe the airship transforms into a mecha or something like this. Wouldn't that be cool? They visit the infirmary where Molly reveals that she has a lot more tools and medicine in stock, so she can reliably treat anyone, human or Pokémon. Finally, they stop by the kitchen, which received the biggest upgrade by far. At least I think so. It straight up looks like a restaurant now. something Murdoch is quite proud of. Just as he's about to make a dish he learned from Kathy, which is a nice callback, the newest members of the team soon appear. A trio of sushi rolls, Tatsugiri, who Crocalor tries to eat. Something they understandably don't like one bite, bit. Led by the Tatsugiri, Liko and friends pay a visit to several of the other Pokemon on the airship that they did not see in any of the locations they visited. With their tour complete, they gather on deck to marvel at everything they saw. Freed soon joins them. He returns Lucius's belt to Liko. Unfortunately, he does not reveal if he learned anything about it, which I'm pretty sure was the whole reason why he held onto it for a while. Terapagos soon summons the heroes and it tells them to battle Liko and friends to put them to the test. While intimidated at first, believing that they stand no chance against the heroes, Liko and friends soon accept the challenge since their partners are eagerly up to it. Fittingly, the matchups are Liko and Floragato vs Arboliba, Roy and Crocalor vs Moltres, and Dot and Quaxwell vs Lapras. So same type versus same type. Well, almost. Galarian Moltres is not a fire type like I mistakenly stated in my preview discussion for this episode. I knew that this Moltres is a dark type, but I was unsure what its other type was, if it was fire or flying. I definitely should have double checked. Still, we can't consider it an honorary fire type, right? Meaning that the matchups are still perfect. So the brave Olivine lands on a nearby small island, and all the battles get underway simultaneously, with the rest of the Rising Bolt tacklers watching with excitement while rooting for Liko and friends. Dot vs Lapras begins with Quaxwell using graceful dancing steps to avoid ice beams and the charge attacks. Once there's ice everywhere, Quaxwell cleverly uses it to skate towards Lapras to land a super effective hit with low kick. Roy vs Moltres begins with Crocalor being terrified of Moltres, though Roy soon encourages him to muster his courage. Moltres uses Fiery Wrath, which briefly staggers Crocalor, but Roy smartly has him use Stomping Tantrum to break free from the lethargy caused by Fiery Wrath. He then uses Flamethrower while Moltres uses Air Slash. Both moves clash and cancel each other out. I love that Charizard approves of how Crocalor is battling. Moltres then uses Hurricane. Crocalor helplessly dangles within it, but he basically, somehow, flies out of it by flapping his arms. He then uses Disarming Voice to land a super effective hit. Liko vs Arboliba begins with Floragato using Quick Attack. Arboliba counters by shooting Oil, but Floragato avoids all of it. They then both use Magical Leaf, which clash and cancel each other out. Floragato uses Magical Leaf again, but this time to banish within it, allowing her to sneak up to Arboliba, at which point she lands a super effective hit with Acrobatics. This triggers Arboliba's ability Seed Sower. Liko takes the grassy terrain it summons as an invitation to go all in. Freed and the others have nothing but praise for Liko and friends, impressed by how much stronger they are now, how much they have improved, how much more skillful they are in battle, and how impressive it is that they are giving the heroes such a good fight. All three battles continue simultaneously within several still shots, culminating in Liko, Roy, and Dot all using Terrasto at once. Floragato, Crocalor, and Quaxwell attack with Magical Leaf, Flame Charge, and Liquidation respectively. But unsurprisingly, the heroes are unfazed. This does not deter Liko and friends, however. They are confident that they are holding their own and can continue to do so. But since the purpose of this battle is just to test them, Terapagos, deeming this task fulfilled, declares that the battle is over. The heroes return to their Pokeballs and the Rising Ball tacklers resume their journey. Liko and friends thank the heroes and they praise their partners for doing so well before being praised themselves by Freed and the others, who state that these starters aren't the only ones that evolved. Realizing that the heroes training Liko and friends means that they intend to guide them to the other heroes and eventually Laqua, the Rising Ball tacklers confidently set their sights on continuing their adventure. Curiously, something catches Terapagos' attention, but it's unclear what. My only guesses are that Rayquaza might be nearby, closely keeping an eye on them, or it senses that Kleavor is in Kitakami, their next destination. So, Dot livestreams as Nidothing for the first time in a while. She unveils to her viewers that Quaxly evolved. Cirque, ever the fan, is watching the stream, something Onya berates him for since he's distracted, though she's watching Sprigatito videos. Clearly she has not gotten over her infatuation with Sprigatito, which is hilarious and adorable. Also, this footage reminds me of the Farewell Sprigatito episode. I don't think they reused scenes from that episode to save time, though I wouldn't be surprised if they did. This is probably just Sprigatito being adorable, which can happen anywhere. But I do wonder if maybe Marnia has a channel where she uploads Sprigatito videos. Amedyo soon appears looking depressed. He reminds Onya and Cirque that they shouldn't associate with him, since he was fired and sticking with him will prevent them from being promoted. But they refuse to do so since they are comrades and they vowed to follow him. Their loyalty finally wins Amedyo over, who thanks them for sticking with him, which delights them. See, I knew he could count on Onya and Cirque. I knew they wouldn't forsake him. And it's heartwarming to see. I'm glad they have his back, especially considering that even his own grandfather tossed him aside. The episode then cuts to the Brave Olivine, which soon reaches Kitakami in record time thanks to the many modifications. The episode ends with Perrin making her debut, which is great. Glad we get to see her already, even if it's for such a brief moment. Obviously, we will see her again and more soon. So she's taking pictures and she happens to catch a glimpse of Kleavor, ensuring that Liko and company will have to seek her out. So yeah, again, none of these battles were anything to write home about, which is fine since they didn't need to be anything crazy. They were just practice battles, not climactic boss battles. Their purpose was to showcase how much Liko and friends improved thanks to the Terrasto course, a purpose that was successfully realized. Considering who they were up against, Liko and friends did very well. They were confident, they were bold, they were smart, and they put up a good fight, clearly illustrating that they are ready for just about anything their adventure will throw at them. Also, going back to the matchups being fitting because of typing, I love that at the same time, these matchups also allowed each starter to have a super effective move to use against the opposing hero, which let them land a powerful strike that made the heroes flinch, making them and their trainers look really good in the process. The fact that everything matched up so well makes me wonder if things just ended up working this perfectly, or if the writers had this in mind for a while and they cleverly built up to this point. Moreover, like I said earlier, there were still some cool moments in the battles, like Floragato once again cleverly using her flower yo-yo to get the drop on her opponent, Quaxwell dancing and ice skating both defensively and offensively, and all three starters terrastalizing and attacking in unison. So despite not being anything out of this world, these battles were still enjoyable to watch. Other than the battles, it was nice to see so many great characters again. Namely the Rising Ball tacklers, both the humans and the Pokémon who got to reunite with Liko and friends, Rhyford and her Zoroark, who left one final, at least for now, mark on the story, Amedyo, Cirque, and Onya, who caught us up to how Amedyo is doing and reassured us that he is not alone, and both Perrin and Kleebor, which beautifully and excitingly, respectively, set the stage for some of the things this arc has in store for us. Also, it was nice to see Tatsugiri make its anime debut, especially since we got all forms. Sadly, we did not hear the story of how or why they joined the team. Hopefully we get to at some point. In any case, they were very cute and hilarious. Finally, we got a new opening theme and a new ending theme with this episode. I really like the new opening. The song is great and the visuals are fantastic. It's honestly my favorite opening in this series so far. Both visually for nostalgic moments like this, great showcases of what's to come, and intense action that hypes you up, and song-wise, I love emotional somber songs more than the more energetic, cutesy, and upbeat ones. The ending on the other hand, I'm not too fond of. It has the same style as the previous ones, both in terms of imagery and music. I don't like this kind of music that much. Visually though, the dancing in this one does make it more fun to watch, and I can appreciate that it bundles in some nostalgia like the opening. So yeah, overall this episode was pretty good. Sure, it wasn't as amazing as it perhaps could have been, but it had enough characters, fun moments, and cool sequences to still end up as a great episode that gets this arc kickstarted in a very exciting way. But that's the review and the video. Please let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Consider subscribing, dropping a like, and supporting me directly through channel membership, Patreon, or buy me a coffee. And click the links on screen to see my reviews of the previous 3 episodes. Thank you so very much for watching.